All right, greetings listeners and welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm Lindsey Pogue, and this week, Lindsey Sparks and I are chatting with Holly Hill Mangin. Hopefully I didn't butcher that again. Author, editor, friend, you name it. You probably hear us talk about her frequently on the show. She is a jack of all trades. She wears all the hats. We absolutely love her. Today we'll probably be talking about all of those things as well. So anyways, but mostly we'll be talking about her. And then Holly, correct me, because I kind of feel like it's like a contemporary gothic mystery novel. It definitely has some romance in there, but I wasn't really sure how you wanted to, push that. But anyway, it's definitely got some mystery and gothic stuff in there, and I absolutely really adore this book. So anyways, ladies, welcome to the show. I'm excited. I'm really excited to chat with you, Holly.
Me too.
Like it's been a long time coming because, again, we mention you frequently.
Yeah.
And
just for listeners, like any mention of Holly or editor or anything is usually this Holly right here.
Hi.
It's so like I said, a long time coming. But
seriously, you guys make my job so easy because your books are fabulous anyway. So I have such a joy reading them. So
yay. Well, thank you. That's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to make your life harder. That would be a hard pill to swallow. You're like, actually, you guys need a lot of work. But I know that a lot of you probably haven't read any of Holly's work. So I just wanted to kind of give a little brief overview because, as we said, she's kind of a jack of all trades. So Holly is an English literature teacher at an international school in the south of France, a freelance copy editor at Fresh as a Daisy Editing, and the author of her first independent novel, The House on the Lake, which is what we'll be speaking about today, which is actually a finalist in the 2021 American Fiction Award. So congratulations. That's really exciting.
Thank you.
You'll have to tell us a little bit about that too. And I didn't know this. I mean, I feel like we talked about it, but it's also been translated into French. So
yes,
that's really exciting. Anyway, so Holly's always ready to laugh, but can be serious when need calls for it. And she lives with her husband and her 2 kids, a stone's throw away from the French Riviera. And she finds that reading and writing go a long way in procrastinating learning French. I
Very
absolutely
true.
love it. How long have you lived in France now?
I have been here for, I think, about 12 years now. So quite a long time.
To procrastinate learning French.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when I first got here, I only knew a couple of words, but I mean, bonjour and voulez-vous coucher avec moi can only get you so far. So
I can get you a very specific
around.
place.
Yeah.
so I had to learn. But because I'm an English teacher, it's forbidden for me to talk in French at school. So so I only really get a chance at home. And then when you get home, the last thing you want to do is have to speak another language when you don't really know it all that well. So yeah, it's getting there now, 12 years later, but I still have a ways to go. But people can understand me mostly, so that's good.
Do your kids speak French?
Yeah, and they tell me to stop speaking French because they say my accent is horrible. so yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, my husband, he tells me that my French is good. He says you just you lack confidence, he said. So that's, I guess, I guess.
Well, when your kids are telling you that you have a terrible accent, it's hard to
I know, right?
Oh, don't even bother.
But I'm going to be trying for French citizenship within the next year or so. So I have to take a test to prove that I'm good enough with my French anyway. So that should be interesting. So we'll see.
French is hard. I took a year of French in college, and the people who speak English, our mouths are not.
Exactly. I totally agree. I know, because there are so many words that sound the same to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're like moving their mouth in such a minute little way. And I'm just like, I don't. And
there's like stuff that happens at the back of the mouth, and like that it's just like
exactly.
Yep. Oh man, that's hilarious.
And then considering I took Spanish in high school, I'm just like,
that makes it so much worse. I took Spanish in high school too, and I was so confused when I was taking French. I was like, wait, what?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. That's well, we feel you. I mean, Dennis speaks Spanish and then I try and speak it. And then I just feel I'm like you, like, I think it's the lack of confidence because then I'm just like, I know the words in my head, but getting them out, I'm like, this sounds so gringo. It's horrible. Like, oh my gosh. Just like, Lindsey, just shut up before you make it worse, you know? Anyway, okay. So before we continue, as always, we will be talking about pretty much anything and everything. So consider yourself warned as far as Holly's books, our books, any books that we're reading, we'll probably spoil it for you.
Like specifically with this book, there is like a twist that we're definitely probably going to spoil. And that's sorry.
That's okay.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But before we dive into that, I feel like it is a Friday in France. It is evening. Our day is just getting started, but we just wrapped up a week. So do anybody have any interesting plans this weekend or anything crazy that you're wrapping up for the week? Holly, what about you?
No, tomorrow's my son's birthday. He's turning 10.
Fun.
So there's that. And today we just bought a new kitchen. Yay! So
you just bought a new kitchen?
A new, like fully formed?
I wish. No, but we just bought all of the cabinetry and everything like that for we're changing our kitchen and our dining room. We're like switching them around. So yeah, we just bought all of the new cabinets and stuff. And so I'm really excited to see what everything's going to look like once it's all installed.
So exciting.
Oh, that is really fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Totally excited.
So you're switching rooms completely. That's a kind of a big switch.
Yeah, well, because our dining room used to be a garage when we moved here, and then we turned it into a dining room. And then we decided, well, a dining room would look better next to the living room. So yeah, we're just switching everything around. So yeah.
And then last year you built yourself an office. So
Yep. That's what I'm sitting in right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. Chipping away. Exactly. That's all you can do, right? Yep. What about you?
How about you guys?
My mother-in-law is here for 2 nights. So she was here last night and she's here tonight. And I think we're gonna try to like go out and do something fun, my husband and I, which we haven't done in like a year. So, you know. Yeah. But we were thinking of like going to an arcade or something where we could do something really fun. Bowling. Nice. Something games.
That's fun.
Yeah. So
you know, a lot of places have those. You could like throw axes and stuff now.
I know.
Beer and throw axes.
Well, I've
never done that, but I kind of want to.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid a bar because my husband doesn't drink. So,
do you have to wear masks while you go out, or you don't have to wear masks?
Here we have a mask mandate still. And I believe we also have until the beginning of March, we have to show our proof of vaccination.
Okay. Yeah. It's the same here.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But that's okay. We're covered.
How about you? That'll be fun. Me, working on the backyard this weekend, so nothing fun there.
That is fun.
Is it?
Yes. It sounds fun to me because it's been rainy for like 3 months. So.
Oh yeah. No. So I'm cleaning the hot tub and so we can move it. So.
Okay, that sounds less fun.
I'll be really grimy and gross. So anyway, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but I am looking forward to getting ready to start writing soon. So I feel like this week has been a lot of admin and like marketing and stuff like that. So I kind of miss writing. I've been really kind of chawing at the bit. So I'm excited to kind of wrap up this week and prep for next week, diving in.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. I know we have nothing exciting really to drink because it's 10 a.m. here. What are you sipping on over there? All you got?
I have some rosé.
Nice.
Yeah. It's from a place called Le Rose de Notre Dame, and it's actually it's a winery about 15 minutes away from our house. So
that's fun.
It's really good.
Nice. Sigh. Yeah, it's a little early to even stretch it for the show.
I
so.
know. I'm like
For us.
10:15 is like,
But it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
right?
So,
I mean,
Clearly.
it's past 6 where you are, so or 7. Yeah, no, I just have some double bergamot tea and water, so I don't have anything too fancy on my end.
decaf coffee for me because I've already had my 2 cups for the morning.
Mm.
And look at your fancy mug.
Here.
Oh, my mug, yeah, it's one of my fair trade mugs.
I love that mug.
Pretty.
Yeah.
It is pretty.
It's like a bittersweet relationship because it's really bigger on the bottom and then it's narrow on the top, so it keeps the tea warm longer, but it also keeps it really hot for a long time. So it's kind of like you really want to like sip it, but you have to wait like an hour until you can actually enjoy it. So anyway, first world problems, guys. Okay, so
my tea's too hot.
just give me 3-degree burns from throwing the podcast. Okay, so what about projects? What are you working on right now, Holly? Or between whether it's editing or writing or?
Well, I just got done editing a fabulous book, and before that I reviewed a fabulous book, so yeah.
Oh, shucks.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
So yeah, I've been really happy with that. And then because of I've been doing a lot of editing, to tell you the truth, so I haven't really been able to work too much on my own projects. But that's okay because I love editing. Oh yeah, and then I had to grade some essays and stuff like that, so not so fun.
What kind
part of it?
What kind of stuff are you teaching to? I'm just trying to think because you're in France. What are you teaching somebody who's in like a?
So it's an
middle
international school. So they're doing right now we're working on The Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh.
And we also do A Doll's House, Henrik Ibsen. We do Streetcar Named Desire. In Terminal, they do Heart of Darkness. So I mean, all of the good meaty stuff,
Yeah.
So if it's an international school, is it a lot of native English speakers?
Not so much. I mean, yes, there are quite a few, but we also have, Russian, Chinese, Italian, Spanish. I think there are 7 different languages at the school that we teach. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That is really interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel like, I'm sure we have stuff like that here, but I've never really heard of that before here. So
I remember when I was, the first time I heard about international schools abroad was when I was doing like my one excavation that I worked on in a summer. It was after, I want to say after sophomore year of college. I was in Italy, and one of the like trench leaders, one of the people who was in charge of one of the excavation sections, was when he was like a European citizen, who went to who grew up going to an international school, I think in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So his English was perfect, but accented slightly. But he sounded British, but he wasn't from England. It was very strange. Yeah.
Well,
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know my German friends, they learned British English, so they would sound more British than me.
Yeah, it was
when
really.
I met my husband, he didn't understand me because of my accent. Like he learned British English, so that's the accent he knew. So when he heard me, he was like, what? Say it again, So
I know, isn't that funny? Anyway. All right. Okay, well, what about books? Well, I guess, Holly, I feel like you've probably been, oh no, Lindsey, what have you been working on? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I am dictating the first draft or skeleton draft of the next Atlantis Legacy book, Blood of the Broken, which is I'm really excited about. It's definitely the part, this is, so we're in the second half of this series arc now, the middle of the second half of the series arc. And for people who don't know, Atlantis Legacy is like a sci-fi Hades and Persephone retelling. And the Hades and Persephone part is like finally coming to the forefront of the story, and I'm really excited about it. And I know I mentioned this a lot when I was writing Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars, which is for an entirely different fictional world and series. But I got so into like the playlist that I was listening to and that I had created on Spotify for that one. And then I just started adding songs to a new playlist for this one. And now this is like part of my process. And it's crazy because I cannot write listening to a song. My brain doesn't work that way. I can't focus. But now, like listening to the playlist when I'm thinking about it and planning the scenes and stuff, I've always like seen the scenes in my head, but now I see them so vividly when I'm listening to the songs. It's crazy. It's like an instant trigger for these scenes. So anyway, I'm just having a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
I love the name. What'd you say? Blood of the Broken.
Blood of the Broken. You should love it. You helped me pick it.
Yeah, I must be really good at this. I'm just kidding. Meanwhile, I can't think of titles. Meanwhile, I can't think of my own titles, but yeah. Anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fun.
Yeah, and I just I've been talking to I've been picking or auditioning narrators for Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars, and I have been in talks with a kind of big time narrator, and I'm really excited, and we've kind of come to terms, and I'm in the process of just waiting for her to say like, yes, send me the contract. So I'm just waiting on that one email, and I'm so excited, and then I can actually announce it, and she's amazing. So yeah, that's what I've got. How about you?
I am finally, I spent all this morning doing a bunch of Viking research, so I've been having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, because the next two books in the Ruined Lands are much more like Viking-esque, so different continent. It's going to be really fun. So I have this really cool like Viking handbook that I've been just devouring, and I get all excited, and I have to keep telling myself, Lindsey, remember, you can take liberties and have like, it's just fun to be able to weave these things in a way that I want, because it's the totally fictitious Viking world that I'm making, but anyway, so just really fun. So I've been doing that, and I got all my characters ironed out, and I have the first chunk of the book completely outlined. I think I'm going to do what you have started doing, or talking about how you have an outline, but you really only focus on chunks at a time because things are going to change. I usually have a pretty what I think is solid right in my head and out like on my, have it all worked out and everything, but it always, I feel like like you said, it changes. So even though I have like a loose idea, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the front end going like through the second half because I want to see how it evolves. But the first half is like very clear in my mind. So that's why I was saying I'm so excited to be able to dive in and get started on this one on Monday. So anyway, so that's just what I've been doing, research and outlining and getting my characters all figured out. And I was talking to Holly before days ago, but I'm really excited about Killian's character because
me too.
It's a great name.
Thank you. Yeah. And so I'm like, I liked writing Grayson, but I am really excited because I really like Killian's his brother. I really like his backstory. So anyway, I don't know. I'm super excited to dive into that one. But so yeah, that's me. I got the fingers twitching, man. I want to go and I want to write. So hopefully next time we check in.
I noticed that both of you are starting to do character sketches, like the actual sketches
the portraits.
I can't remember. Yeah, the portraits. Are you both doing that for this next book as well, or?
Yes, I will be. Well, so this is difficult because I have to, there's a lot of well, there's not a ton, but I'm at like the 5th book in the series, and I have to go back through all of the different characters to figure out. And I have very clear pictures in my head about what each of them looks like now because I know them so well. So, but I am it's gonna be kind of like the playlist for me. Like art breeder character portraits are gonna be part of my stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I was actually you've seen I've started to work on my one for Killian, but I want to I haven't done my one for Bryn yet, so I need to do that one. I know she has dark hair, but other than that, I haven't really got her sorted in my head yet. So I should sit down and make that really hard job a priority. The problem is making those is a rabbit hole, man. I mean, you have to like do it when you're watching TV and so that you're not just wasting a day of work.
Yeah. Or watching your children.
Yeah. So anyway.
I still have 2 more I need to do for Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars. So I need to do those first, but I'm curious, LP, when you do yours, do you start with a real person? Do you upload a person or do you start with randomness?
I do. Well, I have a ton of portraits of others that I found on the site that I have dozens and dozens of them. So I'll find all the ones that have different like facial characteristics that I like, and I'll make my own out of that. And then once I get it more narrowed down, maybe. The problem is it's like, even if you think it's close and like you leave it for a week and you come back, you're like, oh, let's just see what the children could look like, just so I can see. Like maybe I like one of them better.
Yes, I know.
It's
like a compulsion,
because you can breed them. You can like you can do all these different versions. This is a can of worms, Holly. You should not talk about this one.
Yeah. I know, like when I was doing Nick's character portrait, that one was really, really hard for me. And I kept having to go back to it because I'm like, this is not right. It's like, he's like, so Nick, like it just, And he's like a really complicated, difficult, like, I don't know.
Anyway, it's really fun and addicting and horrible at the same time. So, but anyway, so books though, I feel like I've been devouring books. What about you guys? I know, Holly, you said you've been working a lot, so are you able to read anything?
Yeah, let's see. Recently I just finished the Fortuna coin by Karen Ann Dobson. I think her last name is, or Dopkins, one of the two. And it's the story of a newly remarried woman who has 4 kids, and her ex-husband murders her children, and her new husband.
Holy
and
mother.
A family heirloom that she has takes her back in time so that she can kind of redo everything to turn it into the way that she wants it to be.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was an interesting story. It's, I mean, obviously about domestic violence, but the whole, kind of time traveling element there, it was definitely not something that I've ever seen with a domestic violence book before. So
I feel like that's the kind of thing that could pop up out of like my mom anxiety, the kind of story, like what if something terrible happened? How would I fix it?
So, but it was a good book. I mean, it wasn't, it was a good read. And now I am currently on, it's called the Parallel series. So the first book is called Parallel, and it's also a time travel. I'm like into time travel right now, I guess. And it's by Elizabeth O'Rourke, I believe. And it's a 4-book series right now. I can't remember too much about it, but right now I'm only like on page like 5 or something like that. So we'll see.
Fun.
How about you?
I go through those phases too, as far as like, different little subgenres and stuff. What about you, Linz?
I can't remember if this is what I was listening to last time or not, but I'm reading Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer Elle Armentrout. So the second Blood and Ash book, and it's super long, but I'm going really slow now because I'm writing. So I just can't. I think I've just learned that about myself. It just makes my brain too full and complicated. So but I'm really excited. I'm about to start the beta read for LP's next book, which I've really been looking forward to, and I was like, oh, I really want to share this on, social media, but you haven't done the cover reveal yet.
No, I haven't.
And the cover is really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, not until March. You can put a sticker on it. Oh, I guess, but then nobody knows. I don't know anyway. Yeah. I don't know. Sorry.
I can share like the title page, I guess. Is there a title page? I haven't looked.
I don't know. Probably.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, that's funny.
That's what I am going on.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I am, so because I've been at my computer doing like taxes and ads and all this stuff, I'm in one of those predicaments where I have a book that I'm reading with my eyes and then a book that I'm listening to. And so I had started reading because, you know, I've talked before about how I enjoyed that Laura Thalassa's
The Bargainer?
her
Oh, the
no,
Four Horsemen?
no. This is the Four Horsemen. I'm back at that one.
Mhm.
So I finally started reading the second one, which is Horseman War. But then I didn't realize that I had downloaded book 3 for Audible. So I was like, okay, well, I'm reading book 2, but when I'm sitting here, I can't read, but I can listen. So then I started book 3, listening to that, reading the other one when I'm like, before I go to bed or whatever. And so I finished listening to book 3, but I haven't finished book 2 yet, but I'm like, whatever. Reader problems. It is what it is. But yeah, so I'm in that world right now. Only one more horseman to go, you guys. Death.
Ooh.
And then yeah, and he's the worst of them all apparently, so we'll see how it goes.
Which means he's the best of them all.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, so that's me. Super exciting.
Very.
Okay, so I think we're all caught up on housekeeping. Holly, can you go ahead before we dive into questions and just start talking to you about all awesome things? Can you kind of just talk about your book and just set it up however you would like, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Okay, so it's called The House on the Lake, and it is about a woman called Eve Beckett, who she's deathly afraid of water, but she finds that she has woken up on an island and she has no idea how she got there. But I mean, she starts to piece things together while she's on the island, and strange things happen while she's there. She meets some strange people while she's there, and she kind of wonders, you know, how can I get off the island when I'm so afraid of the water? And also, do I even want to get off the island because of some of the people that I've met here? So yeah. Yep.
So I think that it's really fun. And because I had mentioned earlier that it definitely like has a very gothic feel to it. So do you want to talk a little bit? First of all, I guess I can show everybody. I have my copy right here.
Ooh.
For anybody who is watching the video or whatever. So you want to just kind of talk about like the gothic elements to it, because I think like the house itself is so cool, and like the changing rooms and stuff like that.
That was really fun. To tell you the truth, all of that kind of everything is symbolic throughout the whole entire book. Everything is symbolic. And so I thought that it would be interesting to have all of the different rooms, because they all kind of obviously symbolize something. And so the changing of the rooms and how she's moving from one room to another kind of also goes along with how she's feeling at the same time, depending on which room she goes into. So, and instead of saying, oh, you know, now I'm going to go to the kitchen, I thought that it would be interesting if the kitchen just kind of turned up like around the corner instead of her actually going there. So, so yeah, that was really fun to add in there.
It's very much a character of its own, which is really fun.
Kind of, yeah, exactly.
Was there like a real house that inspired the house?
No, to tell I dreamed it, which is really weird.
That.
But yeah, it was. I had a really strange dream about a friend of mine, and she invited us over to her house, and you had to, you know, there was this one room in her house where you crawled through this little crawl space, and when you went through the crawl space, the house opened up to something else completely. And yeah, again, the rooms kind of changed on their own and everything. And I was like, wow, this is a cool house. I kind of wish I had one like this, you know? And so, yeah, it went from there. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I thought of so many things while I was reading this. It made me think of, not in like a copying way, but it just like, it reminded me of so many things. And so I wanted to go through the list of things that it reminded me of,
yeah,
and
please.
see if any of those things were influences for you.
Okay.
Okay. So the things that it reminded me of. Okay, first off, if I were to describe it to somebody to say like it is like this meets this, I would say it's like the movie The Others meets the book The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, I think is how you say it. I listened to it. It was one of my Once Upon a Book Club books. Have you heard of that book, Holly?
I have not heard of that book.
Oh my God.
But I'm going to look it up.
It's really, the audiobook is amazing. It's narrated by what is her name? She's like a big time actress, and I'm of course blanking on it right now. But she was in this is the only thing I can think of for sure that I know. She was in and it's so silly, the episode of Doctor Who, the Don't Blink or whatever it's called episode. What is her name? A Promising Young Woman, that movie. She was in that.
Carrie
Mulligan.
Yeah.
She narrates it and she's amazing. She has such a wonderful narration voice and she's a great actress. Anyway, it's a great book. But it again is about that whole like dying process kind of thing. Okay, so that's how I would describe it. Other things that it made me think of as I was reading it were the movie Identity, the John Cusack movie from like the early
I love that
2000s,
movie.
I think it is.
I love that movie.
It totally
I've not seen that in so long, but now I want to watch it
early
again.
on. I was like, oh my God, I think I know what's happening here. I was not quite right, but I was kind of right. And then it also reminded me of, especially the scene in the attic, reminded me of an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, gosh.
So there was an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode that was like about a dollhouse that was in an attic, and then they like went into the dollhouse, or they went into the attic and they were in the dollhouse. I don't know. It's silly kid scary show. So the whole like escape room genre of movies, there's a lot of TV movies that are escape room related. I think there's one that's called No Escape Room that I really liked. But it very much reminded me of that.
So it's all the very eerie, like
yes.
Yeah.
There were there was part of it, the girl with the hair, that reminded me of well, it kind of reminded me of The Ring. I felt that a little bit, but it also reminded me of the broken neck bent neck woman in The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I feel like I know what's going on. It's like all these little things I started putting together. So I feel like you did that really, really well.
Oh, okay.
And then it reminded me so much. I feel like this has been happening to me a lot, which is weird because I haven't been playing video games, but it reminded me of the beginning of like the setup of a video game when you like start a video game, and it's like it very much put me in the story, like I was Eve. That's what it felt like. And then the last thing that it reminded me of, I know this is like a crazy long list, was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie.
Okay, that I have never read. I need to, because I've heard of it before, but yeah. I've never read it.
It's gone through multiple titles because the first ones were very racist. So just FYI.
Okay. That's why I haven't read it. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, yeah.
No, I've never, like I said, I've heard of it before, but I've never read it. So I'm going to have to look it up and see what it's all about. But to tell you the truth, none of those influenced me. So it's great that you got all of that stuff out of it, because I wasn't even, but I do love the movie Identity. I really do.
It's great.
And I can totally see that idea somewhere kind of like in there. And then the others.
Oh, that was a good comparison though. That's a good movie. Yeah. It's a good creepy movie and you don't quite know what you think you know.
Yeah, and it's one of those that has like, it totally flips everything on its head in a different way, but it still has that very like gothic feel. And that sense of like something is really not right about what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is that wasn't in my head either, but I can totally see that now. So that's cool that you.
Isn't that fun though?
Came up with that. Yeah.
Well, now you can say when you're describing, it's like the others or whatever, identity meets or whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
but
any of that stuff.
she just gave you like 15 options.
Yeah,
I know.
Here are your comps.
If you liked this, you'll live.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, I know this is like a random author thing, but the Midnight Library would be a great comp for this.
The Midnight Library. Okay, I'm definitely going to look that up. So
Yeah.
I
very
own
interesting.
it. I need to read it.
It's really, really, it's very,
And it's not very long either.
No, it's not very long, and it's very thought-provoking about life and meaning of life and the will to live and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I had a couple of people who were quite negative about the ending of the book, and
Yeah, I remember
they kind of yelled at me and told me that I was evil and that I was a bad person for putting it kind of an ending. And so actually it kind of did make me change the ending to be a little bit more ambiguous. So, I mean, I think that if you really think about it, then you come up with a conclusion and you're like, okay, this is what happened, you know, but I can also see other people saying, no, I don't want that to happen, and kind of swinging it another way if they want. So that's fine by me.
Yeah, no, that's good. The whole thing is just really complex. So I have a question, because I know there's so many layers to it, right? And I know we're kind of talking in, you know, like cryptically, because we're not coming out and just openly talking about every single thing about this, but I mean, it has a lot of layers, right? I mean, there's this woman is going through some major transition. And so, all these different characters, they each have such different personalities. Like you look at the brothers, you look at Ari, and you look at Nick, and then you look at who it's fun because they're like the two love interests, but they're very different.
Yeah.
And then you have the what do you Gail and what's her John
Hammond.
Hammond. Yeah. And then they're they're just like they're
caretakers.
Like caretaker.
Yeah.
She's probably a housekeeper or something. Yeah. The caretaker. So it's just very cool how they, if anything, for me, they're almost the most curious of all of them, because they're the ones that are so kind of off in this, because it's like what they do and don't say, and they just kind of like disappear, and it's just they're so interesting. I feel like they kind of really are that icing on top of the story for me. I just remember when I was reading it that I was just like, oh my God, they're like, I can totally picture them too. Like coming in, like her coming in, maybe even her, you know, cause she's just like a little older thing or whatever. I mean, she's not like an old lady, but they're older people, you know, and like, I can just see them like kind of coming in. And I think it's kind of like that Others vibe, like what you were saying, Lindsey, of how it's just like this, like very sage otherness about them. I don't know, just very interesting. So I really, really like the complex storyline, but also the characters, I think, really add a lot of depth to it, which you did a really good job with. And so I'm curious, because I know you wrote a book. I mean, I don't even know how long ago you wrote the other book with the gentleman that you had written with. What genre was that one? Is that something completely different than what you did here, or?
That one was supernatural.
Okay.
And that was with Scott Pressing. And it was vampires and witches and all of that. That book, it was called Limitless, and it was published in, I think, 2016. And it was the 9th book in a series. So he had written books 1 through 8, and he said, you know, I want to finish this. There needs to be one last book, but I'm not quite sure exactly how to finish it. And so he was looking for someone to co-write and co-author the story with him. And so we kind of collaborated together on what would happen in the story. So basically that meant that I had to read all 8 of the books before,
I guess so.
before I could even work on the 9th book with him. And then in addition to that, they were his characters. So I had to use his voice, you know, so I couldn't use I couldn't like write my own stuff. So, and then he of course had final say on what he wanted included or not. So, but I mean, it was definitely interesting. It was an interesting process and stuff, but yeah. So sorry, to answer your question, it was supernatural.
Yeah, no. That's really, I mean, it's good to know those things, right? I mean, it's all part of the journey, and now you know things you may or may not want to do in the future, or how you want to do them differently. Or
and
whatever.
I feel like that would be both, that would be a really complicated way to like get your first book out there.
Yeah. But
Like, what a
But it was
complicated
fun.
process.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, because it was on his Facebook page and he just said, I'm looking for, I had read his first book. And he said, is there anyone, and that one's called, Breathless. And he said, is there anybody who would like to work with me? And because I like to write, I was just like, oh, that would be really cool, if I could do that. So I had to, send him some stories or send him some work so that he could see how I wrote. And then, like I said, the actual working together, he would come up with some chapters, I would come up with some chapters, probably kind of how you guys work together.
right.
And then, like I said, he had final say. He'd say, this doesn't quite sound like him, or, can you change this or add this or something like that? And so, yeah, it was an interesting process. And it made me realize that, that I can work with other people as far as that goes, that it would be like, I wouldn't mind collaborating with somebody else in the future, because I thought that it was fun and it kind of kept me on my toes and it kept me accountable, and it made me know, okay, I have to have this chapter due by such and such a date or something like that, which was good, I think. So.
Well, and then you went on, before you did this one, you wrote the Nora story, which is great. I obviously loved it.
Which is
that one was really
in the
fun.
ending world, but it's more of from LP's Savage North Chronicles.
Yeah, well, it is a character from the Savage North Chronicles. It was great because Holly took essentially who I had very one-dimensional villain, and she totally went and wrote a whole story about her and gave her some depth and stuff. So it's very cool.
That was a fun story. That was a really fun story because, and again, it was kind of easier for me because you had already come up with a character, and so I mean, I just kind of filled in blanks and stuff. So I had a lot of fun with that one.
Well, it's funny because after I read that, I was sitting there going, man, now I feel like a bitch for killing her off, because now she has this really like sad, like really crazy convoluted backstory, and I'm like, oh well. Oh, I love it though. Isn't that fun though? I think that's one of the things that I really like, when we work on the ending projects, is just, it's such a different experience writing with somebody else than it is just writing by yourself. So it's, in whatever capacity, even if it's, just like chatting with me about Nora or whatever, and trying to get a feel for her or whatever. I mean, it's just fun, you're not just sitting there, lost in your own world all the time. So, okay. So Lindsey, do you want to ask, I know we're going to run out of time, and I have a couple other questions that aren't necessarily story related, but I mean, I do have a bunch of story questions, but, I'm not going to be able to ask all of them. So do you want to ask a couple? I have one more. I want to talk about the boys, but
okay. I have one more specific question about the book, and then I think everything else is just about like Holly and editing and that kind of stuff. And then I have my usual question, but I'll say that for the end.
Okay. So I kind of want to talk about Nick and Ari for a second. We were talking about how different they are. And I was just curious if you have a preference, like not like who you would choose necessarily, because obviously, you kind of set up this really cool, I mean, I guess technically it's a love triangle, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What
I was gonna say, I feel like you're asking her who she would choose.
No, I was gonna say like who my question is really like, who is your favorite, maybe not who you choose, but who is your favorite? Like, who do you like writing? Who's the one that intrigued you the most? Who is the one that really like made you want to write? Or were they both like, they both really intrigued me, and I would be equally.
I like Ari. I would choose Ari.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nick's a great guy. But for me, he's kind of more the boy next door.
Yeah.
And Ari is a little bit more mysterious. And so, and he has so many secrets, and he even kind of tells her, well, I can't tell you right now, type of thing. So, yeah, I would probably go with Ari.
Yeah.
Myself.
Even once you know who he is?
Yeah, because I mean, and I don't know if I should say, I mean, he said something to her at the end that kind of makes it seem that, he would wait for her whether or not she chose
Oh yeah,
him.
I forgot about that.
So-
I mean, don't get me wrong, he would be my choice too, but I forgot. I mean, it's been a little while since I read this. I totally forgot. Yeah, and he essentially, oh, poor Ari's been with him for a long time.
I know. Yeah.
But that's exciting though. Okay, yeah, I was just curious because I was going back and I was just kind of revisiting the story, skimming through it, and I was just like, because there's just so many parts of it that I really enjoyed, and kind of refreshing myself on the names and stuff. But I was just like, I need to go back through and I need to really reread this again, because I honestly don't know if I reread it after we did a couple passes for like beta reading and stuff. I don't even know. Yeah, because
Right.
I don't even know if I've read like the final. So anyways, I just really enjoyed it. I remember when I was beta reading and I was just like, oh my God, I can picture some of this so perfectly. And it just feels so,
Well,
oh,
your feedback on that was so helpful too, because it helped me to, add some depth where it needed to be added. And so yeah, that was invaluable to me. So thank you.
Hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
It's hard when you're like right in it, because you can't see. You can't see through the trees. So
yeah. And like all the people reading the words can't see all the back behind the scenes stuff that happened in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Or fortunately.
True.
Yeah, it could go either way.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
So with this book, I was looking on your Facebook page and it looks like you have another book coming out that is related to this book. So is it a series that's starting? Or just a duology?
It's a duology, but I think both of them could be standalones as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, the second book is called Within These Walls, and it talks about Eve's sister, Emma. So, I mean, it's kind of, you don't need to read The House on the Lake in order to read Within These Walls. However, I mean, if you read Within These Walls, you might be curious as to what happened in The House on the Lake, but you don't have to read them together or anything.
So will we see Eve again?
Yes, you'll see Eve again. Yep.
And will we see Ari again?
Well, see, that's the thing, is that there's a possibility that we'll see Ari again. But either it would be at the very end of the second story, or possibly if I created a third story. And there's that possibility. So yeah, I haven't gotten quite to the end yet, so I don't know which way I'm going to go, but there's like two different ways that I can go. And if I go the one direction, then there's a third book. So we'll see.
And then my last question about this specific book, other than like my one question that we'll save for the end, is do you have plans to put this into audio?
Right now,
I know it's difficult.
Yeah, I don't right now, no, but that could change obviously with the second book. Once the second book's out, then maybe I might want to do that. So yeah.
Cool.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up really quick that I was remembering, I really liked how you tied in the old newspaper clippings and stuff. I thought that was so cool. And I remember when I was reading those, I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like I'm reading a legit like old school newspaper.
No, because that I think I sent that to you afterward. That one's going to be in the second story.
Oh, it is? Oh
yeah,
my God. See,
yeah.
all right, now
but it's interesting because like in the first story, she talks about a newspaper clipping.
Oh,
but then the newspaper clipping that you're talking about that you actually see, that will be in the second book.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I read that. Okay, so yeah. All right, well, anyways, all right, well, it's gonna be great in the next one. Whoops, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious. Okay, sorry, we should move on. All right, Lynn, sorry, what were you gonna ask? Something else?
I don't have anything, I don't think, about the book. So if we want to move on.
Oh, can I just say really quick that
yeah, of course.
The French translation, that one was translated by a friend of mine. So I just kind of want to give a shout out to her.
Sure.
Yeah, so her name's Anne-Claire Barbier, and she used to be a teacher alongside me. And then she ended up moving up north, but we're still quite close. And she read my book in English, and I said, do you know any translators? She's like, Holly, I'm a translator. I can do this. And it was really fun working with her because she already knew my voice in English, which allowed her to be able to like do the French really well.
How cool.
So yeah, it was great working with her, and yeah, I had a lot of fun because it also helped me to look at the book again. And so I think I might also kind of tweak this book a little bit before publishing the second book, maybe, so that all of them are kind of, exactly the way that I want them. But she kind of helped me to see a different way of wording things that might be a little bit better or something. So yeah, it was interesting working with her and translating all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. And now you have somebody who's, I'm sure she's willing to do that for all your books. So that's really cool.
I hope so. Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
What a good friend.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not easy. I mean, I guess if she's a professional, it's probably like second nature to her. But I feel like really trying to, like you said, if she didn't know your voice, it would probably be a lot harder to really, transition
Yeah.
it.
And that's what she said, because she's like, for her, she could hear me, reading and stuff. And so she's like, so for me, it was easy. But yeah, for to do somebody else's work, it probably is more difficult. So
yeah. Okay, so I just because you, like we were saying, you are able to do you do a lot, you're a teacher, you're obviously a mom, but you are an editor and you're a reader and you are a writer. So I'm just curious, like, because you have to juggle so much, and just because I know you personally, know you so well, what is your end goal? Like, what do you hope to one day, like, your perfect dream job of just waking up, and then what would your routine be like? Would you want to still do editing and write? Do you want to just be just an author and not do editing forever? Or do you like it enough to where, you want to be able to balance it? I'm just curious.
I love editing. I really do. It's so much fun because I get to, not only read all of these great stories, but I can also, make suggestions. I can, sometimes tweak things if necessary, because with line editing, sometimes, you have to just reword things a little bit to make it sound, I don't want to say better,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
flow
I mean, better.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely continue editing. It's kind of I get to read,
Yeah. Right.
And which is great. I would probably cut back on teaching. I like education, don't get me wrong, and obviously education is, the education, children need education, children are our future, so they need to be educated, all of that. But for myself, I'd prefer to get out of the classroom. And I don't know, I mean, yes, definitely writing. I'd like to continue to write. I have probably like 4 other stories in my head, all of completely different genres, but they're all in there. So yeah, but yeah, that would, yeah. That
makes sense. I because, some people, once they get the writing bug, it's just like all they want to do. And I know we have so many author friends who, like you, and, they have to work and they have to do all the other things, but they, a lot of them do want to, like, one day they only want to write. But I totally see where I'm obviously not, I am not an editor. I need people like you desperately. But I love beta reading, and I love doing what you're talking about, of like helping, like being able to kind of look at somebody's story, like enjoy reading it, but look at somebody else's story that's not my own, and be able to like kind of like point things out and just like help it be as, like perfect, or, whatever. So I can see how you would really like to do that. And so like, I guess I'm saying that if I could, be a beta reader and, get paid for it, I would be like, hell yeah, man, I would love to help somebody shape their story, make it shine, baby.
No, you do really well though, because like I said, when you looked at my story, you asked some questions that were, questions that, made me think, and made me think, oh gosh, you're right. I didn't cover that aspect, and I probably should. So I think you'd be great at that.
Well, and it's probably helpful, like having people who have to learn the craft, and they kind of can look at things from like a writing standpoint instead of a reader standpoint too. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun. And yeah, I think my biggest question for you, this is the one that I really want to make sure we ask, because I feel like we have a lot of readers. And again, I know Lindsey has a couple more questions, but you are kind of like the ideal, like, I feel like our readers are always asking us, or at least they're always asking me, a lot of them are aspiring authors and they are writers, and they have started stories and they haven't been able to finish them. Life gets in the way, job gets in the way, family gets in the way, whatever it is. Like, there's always things that always seem more important, or maybe it's just fear also, right? And so I'm just curious, because you've had this, this journey of going from, you did the co-authoring and then took a step back, and then you were doing a lot of beta reading. Then you got into editing. Now you're writing your own stories too. Is there like a piece of advice or something you would offer up to aspiring authors who, so you're kind of like the epitome of like what they could be, So I'm just curious if there's something that you've learned that you think is super helpful, or whether it's about your own personal growth or whatever it might be. Is there something that comes to mind that you would maybe offer up to people who want to do what you're doing?
I think that it's so different for so many people, though. I mean, it's what works for me could be something that somebody else would find doesn't work for them. I think for myself, just the years that it took me a while to figure out what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to, like, I always knew that I wanted to do something with English. And so, for a while there, I was deciding or debating on whether or not I wanted to become a librarian, or if I should be a teacher, because I knew I wanted to help people. And so, of course, I went into teaching because I wasn't even really thinking about editing or anything like that. And then got into beta reading and got into, kind of giving suggestions and stuff. And then one author friend talked me into possibly doing some editing, and it just kind of clicked. It was just like, wow, this is what I want to do. And then as far as writing, I think editing has kind of helped me to become a better writer. But even then, like, I know that probably writing more and more would help me become a better writer as well. So, because already, like, the second book, I know that it's going to be more in depth. It's going to be, each character is going to have a backstory. Although for this particular book, it was difficult to have a backstory because of what's going on.
Right.
But with the next book, it will be different. So, I mean, there's already some things that I've learned just from writing the first stories. So for any author or aspiring author out there, I would just say, keep on doing what you're doing, and keep on having that dream that you will publish, because I think once you actually have something that's in the works to be published, that is what drives you to want to do more, I guess. So,
like, kind of seeing light, like something for all your hard work, and it kind of gives you like the breadcrumbs to want to keep doing it more.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, I was just curious I feel like if you asked Lindsey or I feel like there's a gazillion things we would probably advice we could give, but have somebody who just, I feel like you've done a little bit of everything, so you're a really good person to ask. So
well,
anyway,
hopefully my answer was satisfactory.
I think
it's great. Yeah, it's great. All right, Linz, you're up.
I really just have one more question besides the question, which is, so as an editor, how did you tackle the editing process for the book that you wrote yourself?
Okay, so for my book, again, it was really, really, really difficult, because I'm looking at it from, I already know what I want to say, and so my brain is already telling me what's there on the paper, and so I'm not really seeing it. What I should have done, and what I will try to do with the next book, I got too anxious, and what I should have done was put the book away for like a month or something, and then I should have come back to it and said, okay, this is, this needs freshening up, or this needs some work or something like that. I should have done that, but again, I got too anxious, and I was like, yay, I'm done, so so I mean, I did kind of edit it myself, but I did send it to a copy editor as well, and because I knew that, it's kind of like cutting your own hair. You want somebody else to do it, so I had somebody else do it, and then I got it back, went through all of their edits, and then kind of, tweaked some things based on their suggestions. But I would definitely say, for any writer out there, definitely get an editor. And I'm not saying that just fresh as a daisy, but I'm just saying that I think it's definitely necessary to get an editor, because you don't know what is there necessarily on the page.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. Oh, show. All right. I guess I'll ask one more question. I was just thinking about the whole publishing thing. Because I know that you did a lot. I mean, as us indie authors, we do a lot of it ourselves. So what was the hardest thing about publishing? Well, because the first one that you worked on, the first two projects that you worked on between what you worked on, the co-authored, sorry, I forgot the name of it, the co-authored book, and then Nora, like those were two very different experiences even than this third one. So what was the hardest part for you that was, coming to the whole publishing world?
Marketing, definitely marketing.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, I think. I mean, even right now, Nora is doing the best out of all of them, but Nora's free.
Yeah.
So like I don't have to market Nora, because Nora's just, I mean, they're looking at what you've written already with the Savage North Chronicles. So maybe some people are picking it up because of that.
Maybe.
Other people are picking it up because they see free, and so they're like, oh, hey, like, why not? But yeah, that I would say is the hardest.
Yeah.
So.
Depending on who you
to
ask,
tell you the truth, I mean, like, I don't know. And I haven't really been marketing all that much, because it's the first book. And I think that with the second book, that's when I'll actually really start plugging away. But yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. No. Anyway. Yeah, no, that's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I didn't even think about that one. That's not a fun one. I mean, there are fun things about marketing, don't get me wrong. Like, and the readers and the, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all technically kind of marketing, right? But yeah, the actual marketing is not fun. Anyway. Okay. So the question from
the
Elle.
question. Okay. So, who, if your book were to be adapted to the screen, would you cast as Eve? And then also, who would you cast as the guys?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. I can't even. I would love for this to be like a short film, or like kind of like a Twilight Zone type of episode type of thing, because I think that they could make it really look cool, but I would have no idea who would play. I don't think that, just thinking about it, I don't really think that you could have anybody famous play. Yeah, that's how I'm going to get myself out of it. I don't think you could have anybody who's famous play these roles.
Tell you, I think, I don't know, I guess I didn't sleep very good last night, because I remember waking up thinking about this, and I don't know who. I couldn't come up with someone for Nick, and the only person that came to my mind immediately, and you guys are probably gonna think this is ridiculous, but because I don't even honestly remember. I just remember swooning over Ari. I don't even remember exactly what he looks like. But the first person that came to my mind is like a younger, like Hugh Jackman, like a Australia version a little more dapper, but I don't know, like that age, Hugh Jackman with this like, you know, he can be very reserved, very mysterious. I don't know.
And he's not bad to look at either. So.
I
No,
mean, yeah. I like how I go back to the Australian movie. It's like one of my favorite one with him because he's like the hottest. So rub some dirt on him and then no.
Well, I see.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this. I think for the brothers, I know this is kind of silly, but I would put Stefan and Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries. So
I could
Ian
totally see Damon
Somerhalder
as an Ari.
Yeah, and I don't know the name of the actor who is Stefan, but I feel like those two.
Yeah. Oh,
They
that would,
fit
yeah,
the
that
personalities.
Yeah.
It totally. Yeah, they totally do. Yeah, and again, I wouldn't mind Damon going with me to the basement either. So
I know.
yeah.
Dun dun dun.
And like his expressions are so they just fit. They fit Ari really well, I feel like, in my mind.
Yeah, they do. They totally do. And Stefan does kind of work for Nick too. Yeah. Oh, that would be interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Just throw that out there. I don't have anyone for Eve, sorry.
No, well, with Eve, I did kind of try to make her to be, I didn't want to do too much with descriptions because I wanted them to be anybody. So I know that I gave her like dark wavy hair, but I didn't really go into too much detail other than that because I wanted somebody to go into the book and be able to say, oh, this could be, you know, me or somebody else or something. So yeah. That's my story. Sticking to it.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think that maybe adds to how I said it. It kind of reminded me of the beginning of a video game, because in my video games, like you create you have the intro part where you are the person and then you create the character however you want, really, in my kinds of video games, which are role-playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see some more of your role-playing books as
all
well.
around online.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
I know. I just have too many things going.
No, I understand, but you know, I can totally, like when I saw The Wizard of Oz is next, I was just like, hey. So yeah.
And it's funny,
you know, the next one. So.
Yeah, for book 2. And then I've been thinking, so it's hard because public domain and copyright issues and stuff like that. So like for the Wizard of Oz one, it's really interesting because once I start writing that, I can't reference anything that is specific to the movie because that is not public domain, but the book is public domain. And so that is going to be that has to be my source reference material. But then I was also looking up stuff that has more recently come into public domain. And The Great Gatsby is public domain. And I was like, oh man, that could maybe be a really cool
that would be a cool one.
focus book for the third book. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I like the idea of sticking in the like classic literature. I was also thinking about the idea of like Alice in Wonderland stuff, but again, that like treads very dangerously along like Disney, and it's like I don't want to. Disney's scary. Very scary.
Disney. Yeah.
So source material and all that stuff, but yeah, you know. Yeah, so can you do you want to tell listeners, are you open for new clients for your editing service?
Yes. Right now the next availability is in November. So yeah, so from November on, I am available, and I'd love to do a sample edit. It's a free sample edit, so I'd love to do that for anyone who would like to see how I work and to see if we, work well together. And I'm open. So
cool. And then can you tell listeners where to find you on the internet?
All right. Well, I don't have an author page yet because, again, one book, but you can find me on Facebook. And then my books are available pretty much everywhere. So Amazon, Apple, Barnes and Noble, Nook, everything. So, so yeah.
And then, but you do have a, if people want to get in touch with you for editing, you do have a Facebook
Yes.
page for that,
Mhm.
right?
I have a
Or-
Facebook page, and I also
and a
have
website.
a site. Yep, www.freshasadaisy.editing.com, and yeah, you can find me there too.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you for thank you for joining us, Holly. This is
No,
the first
thank
time
you.
I've
This
gotten
is
to like
fun.
talk to your face, so this is exciting. And thank you everybody for listening. And don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode's links and book recommendations. There's quite a few on this one. And we will be back in a couple weeks with author Jennifer Probst. I hope I'm saying that right, to chat about her book, The Secret Love Letters of Olivia Moretti, which, this is funny, I was telling LP before we started, I'm not 100% sure on the genre, but based on the cover, it kind of reminds me of like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants kind of thing.
I bet it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I think it looks really fun. And I believe it comes out the day after this podcast goes live. So Tuesday of whatever date that is. If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you left us a rating or a review on iTunes or wherever else you listen, if they allow ratings and reviews. And don't forget to join the No Shelf Control Facebook group, which is linked to in the show notes. And until next time, happy reading.
Happy reading adventures. Thank you.